So I heard you want to grow your chest. I'm going to show you how to do it in this video. So the first thing is that you need to have compound lifts in your program. There's no way on earth you're going to grow a nice chest if you're not doing any deadlifts, if you're not doing any squats, if you're not doing any pull-ups, shoulder press. These exercises, if you're not doing them, you're putting yourself in the most disadvantaged position. You will not make gains as fast as someone else who is doing those exercises. So if you want big biceps, big chest, big legs, you do need to think of your body as a whole. But I'm going to share with you my experience in growing the chest, as I've been doing this for a very long time. I've been doing this for 15 years and I'm not perfect at it, but it took me 5 years to learn the things I'm about to teach you. It took me many years. And then when I realized it, it was already too late. I was already suffering from pain, from shoulder pain. Although I've learned what worked for me, I know that these things are going to be a struggle for a lot of people. So in this video, I'm going to help you fix that. Two main things to remember about the chest is that it's divided into two major muscle groups, pec major and pec minor. Pec minor is worked by exercises like decline bench press, dips, and flat bench press does target the lower as well. And the upper is targeted when you're doing incline. So think when you're doing anything that's incline. So even if you do shoulder press, you're working some of your upper chest. But that's why form is super important when you're working chest. So when you're on the bench press, the first thing is whether you're doing dumbbells or barbells, it doesn't matter. You need to do this. So when you sit on the bench, you're sitting on the edge. So the first set should always be your highest rep range because that's your warm-up set. That's your engaging set. That's how you start your workout with the lightest weight and you work your way up. So say your bench press is 135, you would start, even starting with the barbell, that's half your working weight. So I would recommend going to dumbbells, starting with, 15 pounds in each hand. That's 30 pounds in total, which is a lot less than the barbell. The barbell is 45 pounds. So I always start with an empty bar in any exercise, always. But I am much stronger. I can lift way more than 135 pounds. So 44 pounds isn't too much to start with when I'm warming up. So I'll show you how as well when you go into the gym, how the form should look. And you should try to maintain that form throughout the whole entire time of the set. And you'll find this way, if your shoulders are ever going forward, you will have some sort of pain eventually because when you're pushing, your shoulders are involved in some way, but when you're putting it all the way in the back, you're not putting any smaller muscles at risk for strain or injury. When you get the pain of any rotator cuff problem, it's already too late. It's already too late. I've had days where I had to wear a pillowcase around my arm because it was so painful to move it. And at that time, I was overstretching my muscles. I was also doing the bench press incorrectly. I lost, you do have to remember, you do have to engage your mind and remember the form from bottom to top. So when you are pressing, I normally didn't do this in the beginning, when I did find out to push my shoulders back. But if you want to get the most out of your sets, you do have to drive your feet into the ground. So you will feel like your knees are going past your toes, which is fine. When you're on the bench press and you're pressing, you're pushing all that force from your feet to your hands. So take a look at this video. This is me showing you how to do the bench press. There's like 4 phases to the shoulders that you want to put yourself in before you actually do the bench press. So the first thing is push your shoulders forward, push your shoulders up, but still pushing it forward, and then putting it in the middle and then driving it back and down and keeping that form as you're pressing. The next thing is that you have to keep your elbows in a position where it's natural. Try standing up right now and press. Does it feel more natural doing this with your elbows high? Or does it feel more natural with your elbows low, right? When you try to push, it feels more natural. You want that when you're doing your bench press, but at the top, you could drive your elbows a little bit back to where I would say it's a danger zone, but when you're going down, you want to drive it back down, the elbows, to the sides of your body. But as you're pressing up, right, do you see how that goes? The elbow rotates, kind of, and that's natural. That's what should happen. So when you're starting, you should be like between your rib cage and your temple. which is right here. But when you're finished, it should go like towards the nipple area. And remember, you breathe in when the weight is down at the bottom. You hold your breath in, you press it. That way you're using the most of your oxygen, using the oxygen to refresh the muscles and send the nutrients it needs to the muscles, because the oxygen does make a big difference when you're breathing in. But when you're taking a rest between working sets, take between 2 minutes to 4 minutes. 4 minutes will allow you to recover most of your strength. So I really do recommend using dumbbells. Barbells will help you once in a while when you want to increase your strength, when you want to test your max. But overall, I recommend dumbbells because dumbbells will allow you to sit at the bottom and get a better stretch. And you'll be able to go to failure more often. I don't know if you're blessed with a spotter, someone who can spot you on the barbell. But if you don't have a spotter on the barbell, don't use the clips, because then if you're stuck, you can't push the weights off. And if you're finding the plates are falling off the barbell, then you're not keeping it balanced. Everything has to be equal. You have to be aware of where your hands are and where the weights are and where your elbow is, where your legs are, where your shoulder is. It does take a few phases. But over time, as you're doing this, it'll come naturally. You won't have to think about it. You'll just be putting it in this position naturally. So I do recommend doing the flat bench press in the beginning of your workout. However, you do want to switch to incline for some weeks. So say the first 3 or 4 weeks, you're doing flat dumbbell press. Great. Then the next 4 weeks after that, do the incline. Just incline it a little bit. You don't have to incline it a whole lot. You can incline it just 10 degrees, 20 degrees. You'll still get some great activation in your upper chest. So when you're doing 10 to 20 degrees, that's actually going to be enough for the engagement for your incline. That's more than enough actually. So if you want, after 2 weeks of doing that incline position, you can increase it if you want to experiment. If your upper chest is the weakness, then try using the incline at the beginning of your workout, after your warm-up, after doing your warm-up sets. If you're bench pressing around 100 pounds in total, then it should take like 2 to 3 sets of warm-ups before doing your working sets. And when your warm-ups, you don't want to fail. You just want to engage it. You just want to try to stretch at the bottom, try to contract it at the top. And when you're going at the top, you don't have to go all the way up, but you can if you want. That gets me into the methods. So there's all kinds of methods you can use: drop sets, rest pause. You can use supersets. You can use antagonist sets where you take the opposite muscle and you work that with your chest. So whenever I do pull-ups and bench press, I feel the strongest in both exercises. I feel the strongest. So I'm doing bench press working sets, and then I go automatically to pull-ups because it's the opposite muscle. So it makes sense. You're going to be a little bit stronger. So if you want, you can mix it up. 1 week you could do where you do like supersets of opposite muscles. The next week you could do drop sets. You can combine both drop sets and supersets. And then if you want to go crazy, the next week you can combine it even further. You can do rest pause, which is like where you take 10 to 30 seconds between reps of 1 to 3 rest, because your ATP production will be quickly replenished that way. Especially if you're using creatine, you'll notice it. But rest pause is basically you take a heavy weight you can do for 3 reps, take a rest for 10 to 30 seconds, and that will allow you to do a couple more reps in a short period of time. So if you think about that, it's a big amount of gain. So you want to switch it up every once in a while. There's also one of my favorite ways to engage the chest is if you truly cannot feel your chest working, if you do this method, 100% I guarantee you will be able to increase your chest gains. So pre-exhaust, do the flies before your working sets of bench press. Like do the flies until you fail almost. And contract your chest as much as possible. Just think about contracting it. And then go straight to your working sets, but of course reduce the weight on the bench press. When you do it, you'll be so pumped and you'll feel amazing. And if you want, you can repeat that, or you can continue doing your bench press like normal. But doing a pre-exhaust on the big muscle and the isolation exercise before the compound lift is amazing. So you can do this with shoulder press. You can do side raises, squats, leg extensions. It applies to everything. So for the bench press, I really do recommend dumbbells. That's how I developed like my best chest. I was never using barbell bench press. I was sometimes once in a blue moon, but rarely. Don't get it wrong, like I've been working out for 15 years and halfway I was learning things I should have learned within the first few months of working out, some of which would cause injuries if I didn't do. So it makes sense to actually practice the form. Go right now, stand up and do the pressing and see how it feels when you're doing your elbows up like this. See the difference when how the elbows look? I know it's going up when I'm pushing up, and you want to squeeze your shoulder blades together. As if you're squeezing, pretend you're putting a pencil between your shoulder blades. And you could do the same with push-ups. So I'll show you. So you literally could do this with push-ups. You put your hands as you were when you're standing and press. Try to feel the stretch at the bottom. And you press up. It really helps to do push-ups to engage it. And if you're working out at home, you can still make chest gains by using the resistance band and push. It's way different. It's way different doing normal push-ups. Try to push your chest out as much as possible. Don't be afraid. Even if you're at your gym and you're pushing your chest out when you're doing your exercises, that's natural. You got to do that with chest exercises. Another thing I recommend doing before doing your bench presses or any chest workout or any workouts in general, these. If you put your hands closer, you make it harder, but try it, put your hands wide, and you can do different things with it. Basically, you're working on your mobility. You don't have to stay in one position. You're warming up after all, right? You don't want to do any static stretches. You want to do warm-ups that involve rotation and taking the muscle through its natural range of motion. And for shoulders, it's really important to do this. And I found myself a lot healthier in terms of shoulder health and mobility. I was just never feeling pain with exercises. And that's the difference between a smart bodybuilder and one who just lifts with the ego. The smart bodybuilder will think about the pain he's feeling so he can work out for the next few years instead of taking some months or even years, and some injuries you'll never recover from. So it makes sense to do a proper warm-up, to engage your muscles and do what you can to feel ready, primed. You cannot be primed without a warm-up. So get a routine going, get a natural thing going where you feel warmed up and ready to explode onto your workout. So if you want to get a big chest going, try doing the incline press. That works really well for the overall development. It won't only work your upper chest, but it does work some lower chest. It's impossible just to do one muscle of the compound lift that you're doing. It's gonna engage multiple muscles. So there you have it. Hopefully this helps. If this helped you, please let me know in the comments. I'll do what I can to produce more videos like this. If you have more questions, more ideas, I'm open to suggestions. I'll always make videos that help you guys. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching. And if you want programs and spreadsheets, check out fitfrick.com. And by the way, if you want fill in the blank spreadsheets, check out fitfrick.com. We have tons available, most of which are made by coaches. So everything is just prepared for you. All you gotta do is enter your max, and then the rest of the weeks are set for you. And you just have to worry about doing those workouts, doing those reps and sets. So fitfrick.com. Thank you so much for watching. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy.